December 6, 2014, from Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the ACC Championship game between the Florida State Seminoles and the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. And Florida State got the ball first, and they had it on their own 25, but they would go 3 and out on their first possession. Georgia Tech then took over with 13.5 minutes in the first quarter on the clock. They had it on their own 29. Justin Thomas ran for 14 yards and a first down to the 43. And then on 2nd and 8 from the Georgia Tech 45, Synjyn ran for 9 yards and a first down that brought the ball across midfield into Seminoles territory on the 46 for a first down. Then on 2nd and 8 from the 44, Days ran for 17 yards and a first down that brought the ball to the 27. Charles Perkins then ran for 20 yards and a first down that made it first and goal on the 7 for the Yellow Jackets. Days then ran for 6 yards to make it 2nd and goal on the 1, and Days punched it in from a yard out, and it was now 7-0. Georgia Tech over Florida State as the Yellow Jackets put the first points on the scoreboard. So now Florida State would get the ball for the second time in this game. Now with less than 10 minutes left in the first, they had it on their own 26. Dalvin Cook ran for 11 yards and a first down that brought the ball to the 37. They were then faced with a 3rd and 15 from the 32 when Jameis Winston found Nick O'Leary for a 22-yard reception that made it a first down at midfield in Georgia Tech territory on the 46. And on first down, Jameis Winston went back to Nick O'Leary, this time for a 46-yard touchdown pass that tied this game up at 7 apiece. So now with the score tied at 7, Georgia Tech would take over with a little less than 8 minutes on the clock in the first. They had it on their own 25. They were then faced with a 2nd and 3 from the 32 when Justin Thomas ran for 19 yards all the way to midfield at the Florida State 49. Then on 3rd and 3 from the 42, Tony Synjyn ran for 6 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the 36. Dennis Andrews then ran for 20 yards that made it into the red zone for a first down on the 16 for the Yellow Jackets. They were then faced with a 3rd and 5 on the 11, and Justin Thomas ran for 6 yards in the first down that made it first and goal on the 5. Days ran for 4 yards, and on 2nd and goal from the 1, Days punched it in from a yard out for the second time in this game. The score was now Georgia Tech 14, Florida State 7, as the Yellow Jackets took back the lead. So now the Seminoles got the ball with a little less than 2 minutes left in the first. They had it on their own 25, and on first down, Jameis Winston went to Dalvin Cook for a 7-yard pass. Dalvin Cook then ran for 26 yards on 2nd and 3 from the 32 to bring the ball across midfield and into Georgia Tech territory at the 42 for the first down. Cook then ran for 8 yards and then another 16 yards on the final play of the first quarter. And after one quarter of play, the score was Georgia Tech 14, Florida State 7. So now to open up the second quarter, the Seminoles had the ball on the Georgia Tech 18. It was first down. Cook ran for 9 yards, then he ran for another 8 yards. And now it was first and goal on the 1, and Cook punched it in from a yard out to tie this game at 14 apiece. So now Georgia Tech would get the ball back with about 14 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 25. They were faced with a 2nd and 5 from the 30. Dennis Andrews then picked up the first down with a 5-yard run. Then on 2nd and 9 from the Georgia Tech 36, Justin Thomas picked up 15 on the ground and brought the ball into Florida State territory at midfield on the 49. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 40, Laskey ran for 4 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the 36. They were then faced with a 2nd and 9 on the 35 of Florida State, and Justin Thomas went to Deion Hill for a 27-yard pass that made it first and goal on the 8 for the Yellow Jackets. B.J. Bostic then ran for 4 yards, and on 2nd and goal from the 4, Laskey ran it in from 4 yards out as the Yellow Jackets took the lead for the 3rd time in this game by a touchdown with the score Georgia Tech 21, Florida State 14. So now the Seminoles got the ball with 8 minutes left before halftime. They had it on their own 29. They were then faced with a 2nd and 2 from the 37, and Dalvin Cook picked up 4 yards in the first down to bring the ball to the 41. Jameis Winston then found Rashad Greene for a 16-yard reception that made a first down in Georgia Tech territory at the 43. They would then be faced with the 2nd and 25 from the 42 after a personal foul penalty. Winston then went to Cook, and he picked up 14 yards, and that made it 3rd and 11 on the 44. And on 3rd down and long, Jameis Winston found Rashad Greene for a 44-yard touchdown pass as the Seminoles tied this game for the 3rd time in this game, with the score now 21-21, Florida State, Georgia Tech. So now the Yellow Jackets got the ball with less than 6 minutes left in the second quarter. They headed on their own 25. They're then faced with a 2nd and 6 from the 29. Justin Thomas picked up 15 yards in the first down that brought it to the 44. But they would then stall on their own 40, so they end up moving backwards because of a false start, and the punting unit would end up coming out to punt it. So now Florida State would take over on their own 25 with about 2.5 minutes left in the quarter. And on 1st down, Jameis Winston hit Nick O'Leary for a 29-yard pass that made a 1st down on the 46. Then on 2nd and 10 from the 46, Jameis Winston found Travis Rudolph for an 11-yard pass that made a 1st down on the Georgia Tech 35. 3rd and 3 from the Georgia Tech 28. Dalvin Cook picked up 4 in the 1st down that brought the ball to the 24. Then on 3rd and 1 from the 15, Dalvin Cook picked up 6 to make it 1st and goal on the 9. And then Jameis Winston found Rashad Greene for a 9-yard touchdown pass as the Seminoles took the lead for the first time in this game, with the score Florida State 28, Georgia Tech 21. So now the Yellow Jackets will get the ball with about 30 seconds left before halftime. Then on their own 25, they ended up picking up a 1st down when Thomas hit Waller for a 12-yard pass. But that would be it, as the half would end up coming to a close after an incomplete pass and a run for no gain. So going into the locker rooms at halftime, the score was Florida State 28, Georgia Tech 21. So now to start the 3rd quarter, Georgia Tech would get the ball first. They'd start on their own 23. Perkins picked up 20 on a run, and that made a 1st down on the 43. Then 3rd and 5. Hill picked up 4, and it would be 4th and 1 on the 48 of Florida State for the Yellow Jackets. They elected to go for it, and Days picked up 3 yards in the 1st down. And it was now on the 45. Justin Thomas then picked up 16. It was a 1st down now on the 29. Then 3rd and 6 from the Florida State 25 for Georgia Tech. Justin Thomas picks up 14 yards and a 1st down in the red zone on the 11. Then on 3rd and 3 from the 4, Zach Laskey picked up the 1st down with a 3-yard run to make it 1st and goal on the run. And after a run for no gain on 1st down, 2nd and goal on the 1, Days runs it in from a yard out for the touchdown. And this game was tied for the 4th time in this game, at 28 apiece. So now the Seminoles would take over with about 8 minutes on the clock in the 3rd. They had it on their own 25 to begin the possession. And so Dalvin Cook ran it for 12 yards on the 1st down to bring it to the 37. Winston then hit Rashad Greene for a 14-yard pass that made a 1st down in Georgia Tech territory at midfield at the 49. 2nd and 6 from the 45. Jameis Winston finds Rashad Greene, this time for 10 yards. Now it's 1st down on the Georgia Tech 35. 2nd and 3 from the 28. Dalvin Cook picks up 4 yards in the 1st down to the 24. But their drive would end up stalling on the 16, and Roberto Aguayo would come out to attempt a 33-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and Florida State took the lead for the 2nd time in this game, this time by 3 with the score. Florida State 31, Georgia Tech 28. So now the Yellow Jackets would get the ball on their own 25, but they would end up punting 6 plays later from the Florida State 44 on 4th and 8. So now Florida State would get the ball with just seconds left in the 3rd quarter, and they would have it on their own 10-yard line, and Dalvin Cook ran for 2 yards, and that brought the 3rd quarter to a close. So after 3 quarters of play in this ACC Championship game, the score was Florida State 31, Georgia Tech 28. So now to open up the 4th quarter, the Seminoles had the ball on their own 12. It was 2nd and 8. Jameis Winston ran for 5 yards. And then on 3rd and 3 from the 17, Winston found Rashad Greene for an 11-yard pass and made a 1st down on the Florida State 28. Winston then went back to Rashad Greene, this time for a 19-yard pass and made a 1st down on the Florida State 47. Winston was then sacked for a 7-yard loss by Davis and Paul and Neely. It was just like the whole team, but there was a penalty against Georgia Tech. And so with the penalty, it was actually holding against the defense. And now it was a first down for the Seminoles on the Georgia Tech 43. Dalvin Cook then ran for 13 yards in the first down to the Georgia Tech 30. Then on 3rd and 6 from the Georgia Tech's 26, Jameis Winston went to Dalvin Cook. He picked up 11 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the red zone at the Georgia Tech 15. That's where the Seminoles drive stalled, though, and Roberto Aguayo would come out to attempt a 32-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and it was now a 6-point lead for the Seminoles with the score Florida State 34, Georgia Tech 28. So now the Yellow Jackets would take over with about 10.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They had the ball on their own 25. They ended up picking up a first down, but then on 4th and 5 from the 47, they elected to go for it, and Justin Thomas threw an incomplete pass as the Florida State defense came up with a huge clutch stop as they made the Yellow Jackets turn the ball over on downs. So now the Seminoles took over on the Yellow Jackets 47. They were then faced with a 2nd and 6 from the 43, and Dalvin Cook ran for 23 yards in the first down to bring the ball to the edge of the red zone on the Georgia Tech 20. But their drive would end up stalling on the 11-yard line, and out would come Roberto Aguayo to kick a 28-yard field goal. It was up, it was good, and the Seminoles were now up by 9 points with the score Florida State 37, Georgia Tech 28. So now the Yellow Jackets got the ball with 4.5 minutes on the clock in the fourth. They had it on their own 16. They were then faced with a 3rd and 10 from the 16. Justin Thomas dropped back to pass. He was intercepted by LaMarcus Brutus, and so now the Seminoles got the ball back. See that huge turnover from their defense, and now it was first down on the 43 for Florida State in Georgia Tech territory. But they would end up going 3 and out, and they would be forced to punt the ball back to the Yellow Jackets. So now the Georgia Tech took over in the little shadow of their own end zone on their own 3-yard line with only 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, trailing by 9. Justin Thomas then went to Synjyn Davis. He picked up 10 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the 13. Thomas then went to Darren Waller. He picked up 13 yards in the first down at the Georgia Tech 26. Justin Thomas then went to P.J. Bostic. He picked up 24 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the 50. Justin Thomas then went to Darren Waller. He picked up 10 yards in the first down that brought the ball to the 40. Now Justin Thomas threw an incomplete pass, but there was a personal foul against the Florida State defense, and now it was a first down on the 25 of Florida State for the Yellow Jackets. Justin Thomas then dropped back, and he found Darren Waller for a 25-yard touchdown pass that made this a 2-point game with the score Florida State 37, Georgia Tech 35, with less than 2 minutes on the clock, as they would go for the onside kick. And the onside kick was not successful. Florida State recovered, and they had the ball now on the Georgia Tech 45. Dalvin Cook ran it for 3 yards. Georgia Tech took a timeout. It was now 2nd and 7 on the 42. Cook ran for no gain, but on 3rd and 7 from the 42, Dalvin Cook ran for 10 yards and the first down that pretty much brought this game to a close, as Georgia Tech had already used their last timeout at the beginning of that first run, and now with the first down, all they had to do was line up in the victory formation to take the knee and win the ACC Championship by 2 points, with the final score Florida State 37, Georgia Tech 35, and an exciting game. And with this win, Florida State remains undefeated as they go through the season undefeated and win the ACC Championship. They're 13-0, 8-0 in the ACC. They didn't lose a game last year either. They've been undefeated for the last 2 years. They're currently ranked number 4. Georgia Tech came into the game ranked number 11. They're now 10-3 with the loss, 6-2 in the ACC. And it was quite a game, very exciting, coming down to the wire. And so in this game, Jameis Winston was 21 for 30 with 309 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. He also had 5 yards rushing off of 1 carry. Justin Thomas was 8 for 14 with 134 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. He had 11 carries for 104 yards on the ground. The leading rusher in this game was Dalvin Cook. He had 31 carries for 177 yards and a touchdown. He also had 43 yards receiving off of 5 receptions. The leading receiver, as we said, or the leading rusher for Georgia Tech was Justin Thomas, by the way, as we had already said his numbers. And Synjyn Davies had 19 carries for 67 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Yellow Jackets. Charles Perkins had 9 carries for 64 yards. The leading receiver was Rashad. Greene with 7 receptions for 123 yards and 2 touchdowns in this game. Nick O'Leary had 3 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown as well. And Dalvin Cook, as we said, he had the 43 yards. And Travis Rudolph had 40 yards off of 5 receptions. The leading receiver for Georgia Tech was Darren Waller with 5 receptions for 73 yards. And the lone interception in this game was LaMarcus Brutus with that clutch interception in the 4th quarter. And it came down to the wire. Georgia Tech did end up getting the ball back because they came up with it. They got that touchdown to make it exciting. They weren't able to get the onside kick. Florida State recovered. They got the first down, and they brought the game to a close in an exciting fashion all around. Exciting ACC Championship. And the Florida State Seminoles are champions in the ACC once again. And the final score, Florida State 37, Georgia Tech 35.